Hello there people, Vestin here with another Awesomenauts match. I'm playing Leon, the chameleon, an assassin. Stealthy assassin. At least in principle it's worth noting that I got an upgrade which allows me to deal 20 additional damage from time to time. Basically, amazing crits. My team is comprised of me as Leon, a Froggy, and a Yuri. The enemy team, Lone Star, No, and Purple. Since we are on Sorona, I get to jungling immediately. Once again, this is not something most people do. It is a nice habit to get into though, because the solo boss is it gives you all the health back, so even if you lose it trying to take the boss, you regain health, and it gives you a massive amount of solo, as the name implies. It's just that people tend to overlook such benefits. Probably because you only have 3 people on the team, and 2 lanes. Froggy jumping in and stunning Lone Star means that I can secure the kill quite easily. That was all I needed, a tiny moment of him being unable to respond. Just the tiniest of bits. He was low on health at that point. All we needed was that short, brief moment, that window of opportunity, so that I could pounce on him and get to him. Even without any abilities at this point, mind you. I don't have my tongue, I don't have my invisibility. I just jumped him and sliced him to pieces. Getting through the pole can be a pain. If he seizes himself up, you have to take quite a few bullets to the face to close the distance. While this is most painfully true for melee heroes such as myself, it also applies to ranged ones, since it's unlikely that the range exceeds his. Things will get a little easier for me once I get my tongue ability. Yuri got a little excited though, a little too optimistic about his chances. He really wanted to get that double, who was sieged up near the turret, alongside a teammate. That was not a breakable position, not easily so anyway. I got my tongue, and the next upgrade I will be aiming for will be the big damage upgrade for the tongue. Well, the tongue already provides you heaps of utility because it allows you to draw your enemies into you. In your direction, allowing you to immediately close the distance, possibly drawing them under turrets. In addition to that, it also deals damage to them. Some damage, some token damage most of the time, but if you get the damage upgrades for that, you can tongue them to death at times. And even if you don't immediately tongue them to death, it can add up. You draw them close to you, and then you slice them to death, you finish them off, because you've already dealt a decent bit of damage by pulling them towards you. Serves a double function in that way. Our turrets have been heavily assailed. Unfortunately, this was back in the day when Purple could fall down while in siege mode. Nowadays, that's not possible. Being able to fall down on this particular map means that if you're at the very center, you can fall down into the jump pad and propel yourself all the way up into top lane. Unfortunately, I wanted to pull him towards myself to hurt him some more, pulled him over the jump pad, he fell down, and got out of my reach. Otherwise, he might have been toast. And by toast, I mean dead. Big damage upgrade for the tongue has been acquired. Time to lick people to death. Right, this may not sound as epic as it probably should, but let me assure you, it is pretty epic. Of course, I can use the tongue willy-nilly, even on the solid boss. It doesn't pull the solid boss because the solid boss seems to be mostly immune to CC, at least to some forms of CC. You can't really toss the solid boss or anything of this nature. However, you still deal damage to it, so it's worth it to tongue him. You're gonna be there for a while, and the tongue has a fairly low cooldown, as all abilities in this game. Finally, might be the time to go on the offensive and push some lanes. My teammates... One of my teammates is trying to help me down here. The other teammate was trying to defend top lane. However, we eventually got it down. Even though both of our tier 1 turrets are pretty low on health, as you can see from the minimap, they are below half. It doesn't necessarily show you the precise amount, but it's enough of an information that they are damaged. Let me pull the pull and therefore secure the kill. Unfortunately, our Froggy got himself killed in the process. He probably shouldn't have been as eager to tower dive once again. I get a range increase on my tongue, which allows me to pull people from even further, or, if that's not necessarily what I'm after, to deal damage to them from even further. You can see the difference right here. I was able to pull that Gnaw even though he was a fair distance away from me. Once again, I'm an assassin, and at this point I'm fairly deadly. They can no longer feel all that safe, even if they are quite a bit away from me. The most obvious solution to that would be to kill me, to focus me down when I'm vulnerable, and to burst me down. I don't have that much health, I don't really have escapes to speak of. I can be killed. Otherwise, if they allow me to poke, if they allow me to draw them in and kill them with my blades, it's not gonna end well for them. And as you might suspect, it is not going to end well for them. Since I am at about 200 solar, I will go back to get upgrades. No surprise as to what I will get, I will simply invest in what I already got. I will get one tier of the small damage upgrade for my tongue. Meaning that with every tongue I unleash upon unsuspecting foes, they will receive even more damage. Which is obviously a good thing. I like the idea of pulling them while dealing sometimes insurmountable amounts of damage, only to finish them off with a few slices. There goes a tongue! Pretty much obliterating that rocket bot. Droid, sorry. One more tier of damage on tongue. At this point I'm pretty much a one-trick pony. Only one tier of additional damage on tongue remains. At that point it'll be up to its full potential. I do apologize for not remarking on all the atrocities that have happened in the meantime, like Brightside dying to our turret. I wouldn't be surprised if he were to siege up right next to it and then die from a combination of its fire and my teammates. Why is Lone Star over here? Why did I miss 2 tongues in a row? See, this is the sort of thing they need to be safe from us. And Lone Star is doing the exact thing he needs to be doing. As long as he doesn't get tongued by me, and as long as he tosses enough dynamite my way to force me to keep my distance, he may be safe. He may just be relatively safe. As long as he pokes me with enough damage, he can potentially survive. Now, if he jumps at my entire team, he will not. As you might have noticed, that Yuri pretty much melted under the gunfire from Durple. However, my tongue erased about half health from Durple, and since he was still in siege mode, he couldn't easily get away, so I finished him off with a few slices. No contest. I had plenty of time to finish off even more health, and now I'm just killing people left and right because I have the damage. And since I have the damage and I have so many upgrades, I have gathered so much solar, what will I do? Get even more solar before spending it all. Now granted, it's tempting to try and get Lone Star, and that's precisely what I will do. I could have gone to the right, but then he could have used the jump pad to potentially escape through the middle, so I wasn't looking forward to that. I had a tongue to close the distance, so I used that. I could try to get the solar buff, but I have so much solar I need to spend it. More damage on my basic attack, and of course the final tier of damage on my tongue. It has been fully upgraded now, it has a ridiculous range, a lot of damage. And of course my slices, on top of the random crits, deal a decent bit themselves. They're far from being fully upgraded. There are 3 tiers of damage upgrades, of which I only have 1. And 3 tiers of attack speed upgrades, which also work very well with the random crits. Being that low on health, I probably should consider healing. Of course, healing by killing the creeps is very efficient because it gives you a bit of solar, not much, but it also denies the simple to access healing to your opponents. Unfortunately, it takes away the easily accessible healing from your teammates as well, so if they are in need and you just kill all the creeps, they may die from poison or something, and they may be somewhat bitter because of that. Durple has once again made a huge mistake. He should not have been there, sieged up. Then again, our Froggy almost died to droids. I kinda saved him by clearing them up. 1 tier of attack speed. I finally came to my senses and considered the fact that I have random crits. that happen every so often on my attacks. Might as well have more attacks so that the crits can proc more often, rather than just flat out getting more damage. Because the crits are just reliable enough for me to be able to pull this off. And 3 times the damage is absolutely worth it. Now, I could go after the enemy team, absolutely could do that, but I would rather go after the solo boss. I got fairly low on health, I didn't want to die to the boss because, among other things, that's pretty humiliating. So I healed up, snatched that med pack from everyone. You might be noticing a bit of a pattern here as far as all team fights are concerned. I just posture, then pick a particular angle, draw people in with my tongue, and then kill them. Now I backed off because of that particular nuke, but other than that, my tongue will soon be off cooldown. And I might just throw that turtle in. That depends, if I restore my health enough to feel safe. I might just do that, but I probably should go back. The poison delayed that for a tiny bit, but since I have more than 200 health, I might as well get an upgrade. No, can't afford it quite yet. Well, let me get some more solo and come back. There we go. Fully upgraded my attack speed. Wasn't that the second tier? Well, it might be just 2 tiers of attack speed. Oh well. It's enough. Don't wanna die though. Thankfully, I was able to scoop all of that up. Get the health before dying to the solo boss. And now I can posture again. Tongue people in. Because let me remind you, tongue goes through things and sticks to the closest heroic target. And thankfully Yuri helped me, healed me up. Otherwise, I've actually perished. Oh, well, Yuri is being a decent support. Once again, there are plenty of Yuris out there who just lay down mines, perhaps slow people down, slow enemies down by putting them inside the bubble, but getting the healing is quite a wise choice, especially if the team does not have a healer otherwise. This gives us a huge advantage. Now we have someone who can heal us, and they don't. And obviously that's pretty big in extensive team fights, because we can sustain ourselves for longer. Slicey, slicey. I did not secure the kill, but ultimately I did my part. I can't get Gnaw because he's too quick for me. He will just run away behind the turret, since he's smart enough to know that he needs to do that. I will also not get the solo boss because for some reason I deem it necessary to posture around the top lane. Which will not lead to much, considering the range, incredible range on Purple's turret, and the fact that he's positioned behind it. There's just too much damage for us to handle. I will get all the tiny creeps and return to base to get even more upgrades. Second tier of damage on my basic attack. I have 2 tiers, both of the tiers, for attack speed, and 2 tiers for attack damage alongside that insane crit. Oh look, Purple's too far ahead! That nuke did damage to me, but it was a pitiful amount. I probably shouldn't go though. I probably should not jump up there, I should go around. First of all, I should avoid the nuke. There we go, past Vestin, going around the thing instead of jumping into the entire enemy team and potentially dying. If it wasn't for Yuri healing me, I would have been hard pressed to get to the creeps in time and heal up. Once again, close calls, but not close enough. Thankfully, because of all the teamwork. Granted, I may not have been the best team player here. I may not have assisted my team as much as I probably should have, but I'll put it all down to inexperience at that point, because this was way back in the day. See, I did not pull him towards myself because the initial damage just dropped him immediately. He was low enough on health for me to do that. And now I'm trapped here! I need to get through! I have to avoid the nuke. I'll put the purple just the tiniest of bits and get away! Because I can. Now, do note, to avoid the nuke, I had to remain on the right side, next to the enemy turret. Not the spot you want to be in, but it was a better call overall than just letting the nuke explode on me. Somehow I survived that ordeal, and got out of it enough solar to be able to invest in the final tier of attack damage. So I slice quickly, I slice for a lot of damage, and if I crit, I deal 3 times the amount. Isn't it glorious? No, right, sorry, not 3 times the amount, it's plus 20 damage. Whatever, doesn't matter. The difference between dealing 14 points of damage and dealing 34 points of damage is quite significant. Well, more precisely, it's 20 points of damage, though. I've missed that tongue, as incredible as it may seem. Just completely whiffed it for no good reason whatsoever. But let's pretend nothing happened. Let's go back to base because I have a lot of solar, and let's invest in something, anything. Maybe movement speed, and my invisibility, because it's about time I got my second ability. This allows me to be even more of a threat to my opponents, because then I can tongue them from pretty much anywhere. This was back in the day when you could break stealth with a tongue. Nowadays you have to perform a basic attack, I think, or something that was nice. And then you can use the tongue, or you just have to uncloak and then can tongue them. Which isn't that big of a difference, mind you. It's not that big of a time investment. Of course, since I got the opportunity, I will get the solar boss, because that's what I adore doing. Getting all that extra solar and investing it immediately into some upgrades. Well, in that case, it's an ability, because I don't even have 200 solar, so I won't go back to the base. I won't be silly like that. And since we can bring the final turret of our enemies down, I figure we might as well try and do that right the hell now. I pull Lone Star towards us, Froggy stuns him, and with that nice little combo pulled off, we kill him. I pull Brightside towards us because he was positioned far enough away for us to not be conveniently killable. I'll let my team handle all the consequences of that, and we'll just get more damage on my slices when performed while getting out of stealth. Immediately after getting out of stealth. It's pretty sweet. At this point my attacks are pretty damn deadly. I could begin with slices out of stealth, dealing additional damage. Then I quickly pile up some damage, perhaps with some crits. Then I can either back off and tongue them back into myself, or if they try to run away, I can tongue them back in, or I can just tongue in melee range, because there's no downside to that. I won't pull them any closer, but I'll deal the damage from tongue anyway. And then if that doesn't work, I can always escape using my invisibility, if I feel the need to. Look at those slices go. Of course, at this point I realized that my teammate might need those creeps more than I do, because he needs to regain the health, and I'm just farming the tiny bits of solar they drop. The path to the enemy base is wide open. And thus we can assault it with ease. Whereas they have only taken a single turret from us, and have heavily damaged the first turret in top lane. I guess that's an accomplishment of sorts. Yeah, he couldn't unleash that nuke in time. Takes a bit, it has a wind-up time. I figured instead of running away from the nuke I might as well finish him off, and I did. And ultimately we have secured victory. 7 kills, 0 deaths. I think it was a decent match. Thanks for watching, and you will see me elsewhere.